So today we're going to talk about changing oil. How often we change oil, how we change the oil, what procedure we go through, what to look for, and what certain things you should be inspecting. Not just when you change oil, but when you change the filter. We're going to also change the filter. We actually change the filter and inspect it every single race. And we do a complete oil change every 3 complete shows. So what we have here is our Donut 410 motor. It's an all-pro motor, and yeah, we got 3 races on the oil, and we're going to do a filter change and an oil change. So we're going to show you what to do. Hi, I'm Billy Dietrich, sprint car mechanic and driver. I've been around racing my whole life, and it's pretty much all I know. We created this channel to share the good, the bad, and everything in between. I'm also going to share some tutorials on basic 410 mechanics and parts and whatever else I feel like. So, like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Yeah, boys.
Yep, you're on.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the oil filter. We use a Wix filter, a 51061R, and we're just going to break it loose here. It should never be super tight, because if it is super tight, then you'll never get it off without having to go through extreme measures. You want to do that. So this can be a dirty job, but it looks like not going too bad here. This motor's been sitting for a couple weeks, so we're going to flip it upside down, let it drain, and it'll drain for a little bit. And now we will pull the drain plug out of the oil pan, which is right here, right above the filter. Actually, the last time we ran this motor, we got upside down and we did lose some oil also. So probably a little low on oil. So that would be another reason why to change oil if you don't make it to your 3 race mark. If you ever get upside down like we did and the car landed upside down and a lot of oil ran out of the motor, there's really no way of telling how much oil is in the motor without starting it up and, dumping more oil in. You really don't want to take that risk of overflowing the oil, because then you run into other problems and it's going to blow the oil out of the tank. So got the filter off, drain plug out of the oil pan. Honeycrisp is joining us here. What are you doing? Now we'll move to the other side of the car and drain the oil tank. So just a little, here's how we do it here. Nothing fancy here, but we got an old funnel. We turn our oil filter upside down, sit it on top of the funnel, and just let it drain. Like I said, we just have a regular old drain pan there, but we also have like a gear drain pail sometimes we use. It's got a screen on top. You can also sit your oil filter on there, but you definitely want this to drain, because we're going to actually open this filter up in a little bit and we're going to inspect it, and we'll show you what that looks like too. So everything you need to do. Ready? Mm-hmm. So now we're going to drain the oil tank. As you can see, this is a dry sump motor. And this is a standard procedure for any dry sump system. It doesn't have to be a 410. It could be anything, a 360, 358. As long as you got the same system, you're going to do the same procedure. The only difference would be is if you had a wet sump motor like a 305, you're not going to have this oil tank, and you're going to have all the oil in the pan. So now I'm going to break the drain plug loose on the oil tank, drain the oil out of the tank. This particular one has a 1-inch plug in it. Takes a 1-inch wrench, I should say. Break it loose. So we go a little draining, and we're just going to let that sit and drain for a while. And Actually, we'll wash these drain plugs off and both the drain plugs, we'll clean them up before we put them back in. So, moving on to the next step.
Honey Bear, you're getting in trouble.
Next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the oil filter open. So, there's a couple ways of doing this. Here at RUPW, we do sell a oil filter cutter. It works great. It actually just opens up and goes around the filter. You just adjust it here. It's got a wheel on a cutting blade right there, and you just put the filter in there. I'm not going to do it because we're not going to actually use this tool. I got an old school way of doing it here, but you can use the oil filter cutter to cut it open. It's a good clean way. But instead of using this today, I'm going to use this chop saw. Some people might say that's not a good idea, but you know what you're looking for inside the oil filter itself. You have no issues with doing it that way. So I'll put this down. I'm going to cut this filter open. Come on. Filter is open. So what we're going to do next here is we're going to actually inspect this filter. We got the filter cut open, we got it out of the canister here. So what we do every race is we do this every race. Whether the oil needs changed or not, we're going to remove this filter, drain it, and we're going to inspect it. And the reason why this is so important is this is like giving your motor a checkup every race. You can learn a lot from your oil filter. I want you to learn what to look for, whether you start out with a good clean filter every time you're inspecting it and it looks the same. Very little metal. There's always going to be a little bit of metal in there. There's all the moving parts, but you have 1 week where you inspect it and all of a sudden, oh, there's a lot of aluminum in there, or you got some brass material, or it could be anything. So it's important to inspect this filter. Get used to looking at it. That way, for one week you pull it apart and all of a sudden you're alarmed something's going on. The second part of that is it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run, because if you can catch something, and really 9 times out of 10, if we find something in this filter and we can catch it before it fails, it could be something as big as breaking a rod, or it could be something as small as the valve spring seal getting chewed up and just being some plastic in there, or it could be broken valve springs. But either way, you should inspect this filter every race, because $12 filter, you cut it open, you look at it, let's just say you find something going wrong. We've been there. We've opened these up already, not realized we had a problem. We had a lifter going bad. And next thing you know, if the lifter goes bad, you can wipe the cam out, drop a valve, boom, it all happens within seconds. So, super important. Get to know your filter and what it looks like every week. In the long run, the education is going to save you money if you catch something going on before it actually fails. So, what I like to do is either get it out in the sunlight, or since it's late in the year, I'll bring it over underneath the light in the parts washer. We'll just go pleat by pleat. We'll open it up, look in there. As you can see, it's pretty clean. If there was something going wrong, we've had them already where it was literally loaded every pleat with metal. And we've had them already where the crankshafts were actually cracked. And we didn't know it when we were racing. Had no indication. Pulled the filter apart and it's full of bearing material. So that's what you're looking for. Inspect your filter and figure out what's going on. What do you think? What do you say about looking at the oil filter?
Well, it's a must.
Yeah?
Gotta do it. You want to avoid problems with the racetrack and oil.
Yep.
That's the best clue you got right there.
Yep.
To what's going on with your engine.
Yeah, we've raced Friday nights and didn't have any problems that we were aware of. I think pull the filter off, and next thing you know, we're changing motors.
Yeah. Yep. You end up with brass in it, or a lot of times you don't know, and you don't have time to disassemble the engine and try and find it. You know, like on a Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a must.
There you have it, folks. We got our oil drained out of the motor. We checked the oil filter. Everything's good there. I just took and cleaned up the drain plugs. You can do that with some brake cleaner or in the parts washer or whatever you got around. But clean them up. There's a magnet on the end of this plug. It's in the oil pan. So it's important to clean that off, in case there's something on there. Wasn't nothing on here. So what I'm going to do next is I like a little bit of Never Seas. Yeah, if you ain't careful, you're going to be the Tin Man. But I promise you'll have a heart. Just put a little bit of Never Seas on there because you're threading this stuff into aluminum. So this is actually a steel plug here. The Never Seas on there. That's probably a little more than normal, but that's fine. It's not going to hurt nothing. So our plugs are ready to go back in. The next step is we're going to take our Wix filter, our 51, where are we at here? 51061R Wix filter. It's a racing filter. Going to get it out of the box here. I'm actually going to pull this wrapper off. And I'm actually going to sit this filter back in the box. Just like that. Reason being is we're going to fill this oil filter. So we use Kendall. We've used Kendall for years around here. This is our Kendall liquid titanium 20W50 GT1. We've used it for many, many years. We've been with us for a long time. So we're just going to take this quart of oil. We're going to fill this filter all the way up. May take a few minutes because the paper element's going to absorb all the oil. So, but you always want to do this before you install the filter on the motor because it's going to take probably 2/3 of a quart, 3/4 of a quart, roughly. And you don't want to have that pocket of air in there. Not that probably won't hurt nothing, but you want to take no chances. So, another thing you want to do is you want to take your finger, dab it in the oil here, and just lubricate this gasket on here. That's one thing I forgot to mention when we pulled the oil filter off. You always want to make sure the gasket is not stuck on the engine. So when you remove the oil filter, make sure the gasket comes off with it. Because if you put it on, it's not going to seal up and it's going to blow out right away. So we'll get this filled up and then we'll install it. Alright, so we got everything cleaned up here. We're ready to install. We got our drain plug. I always recommend taking a rag before you install your drain plug and wiping off where the plug goes because there's a lot of times there's a little bit of dirt there. And you want the washer on this plug to seat up nice and tight. So we're just going to install it. I don't have a torque spec on this. We just snug them down. But like I said, you can't make it too tight because it's going into an aluminum pan. Just a little snug. Boom. We're good there. So we got the drain plug in the pan. Next thing we're going to do is install the filter. We got the filter full here. Basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to wipe off the surface where the filter goes. There's always a little bit of dirt up there on the back side just in case you don't get it on right away. So we just wipe that off real good. It's clean. Take our filter, which we got full of oil, and bring it in here. Up through there. Be careful not to get any dirt in the filter. It could be on these lines. Screw the filter on. And run it up till it touches. Right about there. And we're going to go. It says 3/4 of one turn. So that's typically what I shoot for too. Say we're about 3/4. Boom, that's it. So no drawing down the filter with a wrench because it will get super tight once you're get the thing hot and get running. So drain plug is in, filter's full, filter's on. We'll move to the other side, put the drain plug in the tank, then put oil in. All right, so we're back to the left side of the car. We're going to install our drain plug in the dry sump aluminum oil tank. The plug goes right in the bottom. Here again, I'm going to take my rag, clean the surface off where the plug goes. There's usually a lot of dirt down here because the oil tank itself is internally vented, so it blows a little bit of oil out that tank once in a while, and all the dirt sticks to it, which is right by the drain plug. So here again, this is an aluminum tank. Doesn't take a whole lot. Don't have to make it very tight. Just snug it down, just feel go against, and boom, done. It's important not to overfill that tank. Many a times we've had them tanks, got them in used, or even our own tanks, and they will crack. And that's the last thing we want to do is get to the track, put the door down, and there's a puddle of oil underneath the oil tank. It's happened before. So we're going to remove our cap off the oil tank. Here again, wipe the surface off good because there's always some oil laying there and some dirt. Move that. We got our Kendall 20W50. We're going to start dumping this in. We'll dump that in there. So, all right, so we've got our old dumping back in here. Like I said, this particular motor, Don runs 8 quarts in. Comes on the sheet. It says 8 quart system. The balance of the quart from the oil filter plus 7 more quarts equal 8. That's all we run. We don't even, we put it in and we just forget about that. That's what we run. We don't even go off any kind of level in the tank. With that being said, other engines and other engine builders may have, could be a 9 quart system. They might have a taller tank, or maybe they got a bigger oil pump, more stages, whatever it is. It could be less. So go off whatever your engine builder recommends. If you're not sure, seems like 8 quarts is a pretty safe spot to be in. So we got everything changed. We got fresh oil in, 8 quarts. We're ready to rock and roll for another 3 races.
Yeah.
So if you like these videos we're doing, hey, we're going to have more coming. Like them, subscribe to our channel, ring that bell for notifications. There's going to be links in the description down below for some of the products we're using. Some of these products we sell here at Racers New and Used Parts Warehouse. Link to our website down there, rupw.com. Link to our own personal website, billydietrich.com. And yeah, just keep a like on our channel. If you have any questions concerning any of these videos or anything related to sprint cars at all, don't hesitate to call us. You can go on our website, rupw.com. Phone number's on there. Or give us a call. Talk to me, Bill, or you talk to my brother Danny. Or you can even ask for my dad Dan. He's here. He's knowledgeable. So he's sitting over here. But that's it. That's a wrap for today's video.